Hi, it's Devanaika from Retirement Wellness SA, and today I'm answering a question on whether you should have more than one retirement annuity. Now, I often see retirees when I'm doing their planning, they have more than one of these plans in place or more than one retirement fund. That means they could have a retirement annuity and a pension fund, or retirement annuity and a provident fund, or a preservation fund, but there's more than one of these retirement funds in place. So the question is, should you have more than one of these retirement funds or more than one retirement annuity? The best way for me to illustrate this is for me to take you across into the iPad so you can see what takes place when you have more than one of these vehicles. Now, perhaps you might be thinking, you need the second retirement annuity. You've got to have more than one because you don't want to keep all your eggs in one basket. Or perhaps there might have been, another explanation, or whatever the reason is for you setting up more than one. Now we want to analyze what's the value, what's the merit behind having two of these plans. So let's take a look. Assume you have this here being RA1, we'll call it. That's RA1. And then let's say you have this being RA2. Now, in essence, underneath each of these vehicles, so these are the retirement annuities. So these are your RAs, but I want you to imagine that these are motor vehicles. So think of your best brand of vehicle. Let's use Mercedes in our example. Let's just assume that this is a Mercedes A-Class and this is a Mercedes B-Class, right? It should just, or rather, let's not use that. Let's say this is a Mercedes and this is BMW. So now we've got two different brands of vehicles. Now, what's actually driving the performance here is not the fact that this is Mercedes. So let's highlight that. It's not that this is Mercedes. So we'll call that Merc and we'll call that BMW. Now, if I had to ask you the question, which one is faster? It's hard to say because the brand itself doesn't determine the speed. What determines the speed is the engine. So that's what we want to find out. Yes, we've got a retirement annuity here and we've got a retirement annuity here, but what's the engine? What's actually driving the performance? So I'm going to illustrate this. What if the engine inside the Mercedes is stronger than the engine inside the BMW? Which one's going to give us a higher return? Naturally, the Mercedes. What if it's the other way around? What if the engine inside the BMW is better than the engine inside the Mercedes? So naturally, we have a better experience here. But why I'm sharing this with you, it has nothing to do with Mercedes and BMW. It has to do with the engine itself inside the vehicle. So this, let's replace this. Let's say, take that out, take this out. You could have a retirement annuity with Old Mutual here. And you could have a retirement annuity here with Sanlam, just using examples to help illustrate the point. Which one's going to perform better for you? The one that performs better is not necessarily the brand. It doesn't matter which brand. It could be Old Mutual, Sanlam, Discovery, Momentum, Liberty. It does not matter. What matters now is the engine. So where is this money getting invested and what sort of return are we getting from it? So if we have a better engine here with Sanlam than with Old Mutual, then yes, the Sanlam is going to offer us a better performance. If it's the other way around, where Old Mutual has a better engine than Sanlam, then Old Mutual is going to perform better for us. It's got nothing to do with Old Mutual or Sanlam though, it's got to do with the engine. So if you are setting up a retirement annuity because you want to diversify, then you have to give serious thought to that. Even if you get, especially if you've been given guidance on that. So sometimes I notice maybe your consultant works with Old Mutual and then you have a new consultant with Sanlam and then that consultant encourages you to start up a new retirement annuity. Now you just want to be mindful as to whether you've been given the right advice, because usually these companies allow you to change the engine. This is very interesting, so pay careful attention. You can actually go to Sanlam and tell them, look, I want to invest with you, but I want to use Old Mutual's engine with you. And likewise, you can go to Old Mutual and tell them, I want to invest with you and I want to use Sanlam. For that matter, you can go to them and say, Sanlam, I like your product, I like your car, but I want my engine to be Old Mutual. I want another part of my engine to be Discovery. I want another part of my engine to be Allen Gray. So you can choose the engine here. See, all that Sanlam is doing is they're merely providing you with the vehicle. You get to customize the engine, which then makes you consider the merits behind taking 2 retirement annuities. Because if you think about this carefully, assume your retirement annuity is with Old Mutual and it's not performing well, you simply have to change the engine. By changing the engine, usually you get 2 of these changes in a year that's free. So you could change the engine to another engine free of charge in most cases. You can double check that. And if that's the case, you can change to an engine that's performing well. So for example, let's say you're currently with Sanlam, that engine's not doing well, so you can take that engine out. You can replace it with another engine, let's say Discovery. See? And by doing that, you're not starting a new retirement annuity, so you're not incurring additional costs. You merely just changed from one engine to another engine. So if that's the case, if your engine's not performing well, now you know, you just need to complete a change. Another factor to consider, when we have 2 retirement annuities, in essence, each of these insurance companies are going to charge us admin fees, which means we'll pay an admin fee with Old Mutual, we'll pay an admin fee here with Sanlam. If you have a 3rd retirement annuity, so let's draw one here, and let's say this RA 3 is with Discovery, which means we now have 3 retirement annuities. We've got 3 sets of admin fees. So you've got an admin fee here, you've got an admin fee here, and you've got an admin fee here. And I'm sure you can see where I'm heading with this. The more fees that you're going to pay, the less money is actually being invested. The less money that's actually being invested, the less the return you're going to get at the end of the term. So if you have a situation where you're being advised on setting up 2 retirement annuities, always consider the merits of it. And if you have 2 retirement annuities or more than 1 retirement annuity, there's a way for you to consolidate these. So you can take all 3 in this case and bring them into one investment. So you can take all 3 and make them into one large investment. It does take a few months to set that up, and there's no additional cost for this, by the way, because government regulates this thing heavily. So by doing that, you now have one admin fee that you're paying amongst all these investments. It's one premium, everything's consolidated. You just want to be mindful on whether there are any costs amongst these these different vehicles, because now you're coming away from the investment before the term has actually expired. One last thing to point out to you. There are some instances where it might be beneficial for you to have more than 1 retirement annuity. Let's look at the example. So I'm going to assume here that you have, let's just say 1,000 Rand a month. So you have 1,000 Rand a month, and you want to use that towards a retirement annuity. So that's perfect. You can set up that retirement annuity. Now, in that particular vehicle, chances are it's structured in a way where the insurance company is expecting you to pay 1,000 Rand a month. So they are anticipating that you're paying 1,000 Rand a month, and it's got a time period. So we'll say from year 1 to year 20 in my example. So each month they are expecting you to pay that premium. It's a contract. We've signed this agreement to pay that, you see? And in this case, let's assume that you happen to gain access to a lump sum of capital. This could be through an inheritance. It could be through, if you're leaving your company and you have access to a pension fund or a provident fund, now you've got access to another pool of capital, but this pool of capital is a lump sum. And let's just say in my example, 100,000. Now, we can't take this 100,000 and put it into here, because what happens is the insurance company in this case has an agreement with us. And that agreement is every month they're expecting you to pay that premium of 1,000 Rand. So in a case like this, we would have to set up 2 retirement annuities. 1 retirement annuity where there's a monthly commitment, and 1 retirement annuity where there's a once-off investment. But again, there's always different ways in which to structure it. Depends heavily on your circumstances at that point in time. But I hope you found this helpful for you. If you do have more than 1, it's time to revisit it, So please post your comments and let me know what you thought and how helpful and which part of this particular video helped you the most.